I mentioned before that we've got this wonderful expressive arts program, and part of that is a writers group. So what I'd like to read is something that was written by one of the members of our writers group.
Okay, one thing we ask you to do is, while we were talking during the whole show, you had your mouth right at the mic. That's harder to do when you're reading because you're looking down. So this is your challenge, Mary Guerrera. You are both going to look down at your paper, but you're going to keep talking right into the mic. Maybe hold the paper a little higher, if that's okay.
All right. I don't know how good I'm going to be at this.
You're doing great.
So.
You're doing great.
You sound beautiful.
All right. So let me get started. So, so this, again, as I said, this is a member of our writers group, somebody who spends a lot of time at Fellowship Place and is involved in a lot of our programs. I was at the Legislative Office Building in Hartford on Tuesday, April 12th. I was pleased to speak to a legislator concerning the governor's necessity to balance the state budget, at least in some measure. The concern with my group was mental health funding, particularly as it affects facilities like Fellowship Place. It was a good session, which included an excellent breakfast. I was struck with one of the posters on the dining room wall. It shows a handsome young man, about 22 years old. He's right out of central casting for the role of All-American Boy. Beneath the photo was the following: "So if I told you that I had a migraine instead of mental illness, would you date me?" I brought this because it really speaks to a couple of things that we're constantly dealing with at Fellowship Place. One, of course, the budget. And why the Great Give is so important. We have traditionally relied a lot on government grants. Those government grants are drying up because of the state's economic crisis. And I mentioned earlier that we're open 365 days a year. If we don't make up the difference between what we get from the state and what it really costs to be open 365 days a year, we're going to have to reduce our services.